Hey everybody. Alright, just being weird. So we are starting a little later than usual. Had a long day at work. It's after 10:30 Pacific Coast time. Couldn't be helped. It's just life. So what I've tried to draw here is the DeLorean from Back to the Future. Obviously used some reference to get it right. Not 100% sure if I have all of the details right on this or not. Um, I forget exactly what this hook looked like, but whatevs. I'll just sort of sketch that in. Hello to RH, Sigamigs, and Brendan Sellers. Happy Halloween Eve, Chris. Thank you. Appreciate it. Great Scott! Mandela Butterfly says. I guess there's really nothing to do other than just get to it and hope for the best. Yeah, just a busy day, so wish I could have gotten this started sooner, but just not possible. That's just how it is some days. But hey, just today and tomorrow. Tomorrow I work the earlier shift, so I definitely should be able to start a lot earlier tomorrow. And then Inktober 2018 will be in the books. Not a lot of it left. Hello to Gunta G, J. Andrew World, James Gleason, James Cura, Roma Ticklin. Hello. And wow, thank you so much for a super chat, Mandela. That's really kind of you. That's much appreciated. Um, just gonna drop in a few electric sparks here or there, and then sketch in the DeLorean. Oh, oh, it's a pretty exciting DeLorean. Oh. Has everybody here watched things like the the Adventures of Doc and Marty? I think that's what it was called. Those are great. Hello to Diego, Alejandro, Mr. Yuck, and Milosh. Nice to see all of you. Thanks. Thanks for dropping in. Nothing too exciting to talk about right now. It's a tough day on it, I would say, at work. Honestly, it was tough because just dealt with some customers that were kind of rude. More than one, two, I guess just two, but it was that's always tough because you're trying to be nice, make them feel welcome, answer their questions, and when they're just sort of like rude to you, it's like, ugh, like why? Like, I don't know. It just makes it very tough to know exactly how to you know please them and answer their questions, and at the same time, like, have some self-respect. I'm not gonna like let somebody step all over me, but anyway, just a tough day. Let's see. Yeah, Sigamix refers to the Adventures of Doc and Marty. It's a little different this time, Marty. You have to suck my balls this time. You have to lick 'em real good, Marty. I hope you've all seen that. Otherwise, I guess I sound extra creepy there. But anyway, very funny cartoon. Yeah, hello, Jack Jones. This is the car from Back to the Future. Exactly. This is that car. The origins of Rick and Morty. Some of it, yep. Um, they were funny, but man, at least the first one was pretty gross. That's my kind of humor. It really always has amused me. I love. There's some Doc and Marty episodes where they talk about how great Snapple is and how it like the Caps teach you slang now, Marty. They teach you slang like lock it up. And then there's like a pretty good one when they talk about the comic book Scud coming back to wrap itself up. By the way, that's definitely like a comic that I'll review at some point because it happens to be just one of my favorites. Scud, great independent comic. Funny, cool. Anyway. So that's a stay tuned. This week's episode will be definitely kind of mainstream, but it's about a comic from the 80s, so still something that not everybody out there will be intimately familiar with, but probably has at least heard of. So I'm going to go into a little more detail on it than hopefully you might already know. We'll see. That's my goal. I like drawing cars. They I like yeah, it takes me time, but I really enjoy it. I also really like drawing buildings. All right, let's see if there's some questions in here. Zach Couch joins. Says you have to pitch an old comic in 2018. What it is and why? Okay, I guess I missed something. I'm not sure if that's a reply to something. Rudeness is a power trip. They feel the need to make up for perceived loss of power. There probably is some truth there. Even when people are clearly coming from a position of power, they can be acting a bit rude because they're in a situation where they don't feel like they're in control. So I do think that there can be some truth in that in at least one of the two instances today. But anyway, I'm not going to go into detail. I'm not here to slag off a customer or anything, and they weren't so rude that I felt like it soured a deal or like ruined my day per se. It just was unpleasant, and you just kind of like, ugh, come on, just like, do we have to make life more frustrating than it already is? All right, let's see. Sketchson jumps in here. Nice to see you. So that's why you liked my Greg Land fan art I sent you. Should I have censored that? Maybe. Who knows? J. Andrew World once sent me a pretty hilarious piece of fan art that I just felt was just a little too dark for my actual show. But I did find it funny. Don't worry. I was not personally offended, but I hope you also understand that it felt like it would be a distraction on the show. But I appreciate it. It's good that this event is almost over because my brush here is close to the end of its life, very close. So won't have to buy a new one right away anyway. I think I can get through the last day or two. Can't believe it's already Halloween. I know. Anybody doing anything for it tomorrow? Whether that's like, a party or you've decorated your house or maybe you have kids that you're taking out tomorrow. Anything like that? Anybody got anything going on tomorrow? Like for me, it's really just work, and then if I get home in time, theoretically, I could help give out some candy, but I'm also going to sort of have to do my live stream, so big question mark as to whether I'll get to see any of the kids that come by in their costumes, because I might be doing this. I'll get working on my last live stream of the month as quickly as I can. I would guess off the top of my head that would be around 7 o'clock Pacific. Giving myself some time to get home and eat real quick. I finished Daredevil season 3 on Netflix, and I gotta say, I personally really liked it. I thought that was maybe the best season on Netflix of one of their shows. I liked it a lot. I'm starting to think that the reason Netflix is canceling some shows like Iron Fist and Luke Cage might be due to the fact that they don't really own that. You know, it's like they pick up shows that other places have produced. And I'm starting to think that they want to control their own original content. If it's original content they're creating, I think they want to 100% own it. Because they also canceled American Vandal, which was doing supposedly very well in terms of watching numbers, as well as doing very well critically. So that one like really stumped people. But that was not produced by Netflix. So I'm starting to think that like Netflix is like, look, we want to own more of our own content that we generate, and if Disney's just about to launch their own streaming platform with their own Marvel shows, do we really want to also be doing our own Marvel shows, even if they do well? Like, isn't that sort of pointing people in the direction of Disney? It's just me speculating wildly, but I do feel like that's a possibility. What is your dream car, Comic Tropes? Possibly these days like a Tesla. I would really enjoy that. I would also enjoy what else would I enjoy? There's lots. I'm not a huge car guy, it should be noted, but I think I would have a lot of fun with oh, it doesn't have to be the fanciest sports car out there like a Ferrari. I think just a Corvette or something would be a lot of fun to have. Um, yeah. One thing I can say that's a small fringe benefit of working selling used cars is that at this point I have been able to basically test drive, even if briefly, almost every car out there that you'd think of that's like, you know, on the road today, except for certain sports cars. But definitely a lot of the luxury cars I've test driven. You hear the kitty? Oh, geez. Any good horror movies on Netflix? I think there are, but I haven't actually had time to look lately. Um, yeah, that's Milo. He wants to come in and say hello. I might let him in a minute. Hello, Rosanna Man. Thank you for the scare. Milo said, some of the Bullseye was not my cup of tea, but overall I still like the season a lot. I really liked their take on Bullseye. I thought that Bullseye was appropriately disturbed, um, and in a really good like representation of his powers, which technically I know he doesn't have superpowers, but you know he's got like perfect aim with anything that can be thrown. I thought they did a really good job of how perfect he always was with every throw and how he could turn anything that's nearby into a weapon. I thought they did a good job with that. I still think Iron Fist and Luke Cage canceled can lead to the creation of Power Man and Iron Fist show, but would need to be more lighthearted. Yeah, there is a possibility. There is. You didn't miss much, Rainy Shack. I haven't been drawing for long. I agree that there's a possibility that Netflix will make either a Heroes for Hire or Daughters of the Dragon show. There's a possibility. Um, I I'm pretty sure that Marvel has said we will not give you access to any more characters other than like the 5 main characters that we initially gave you and the supporting characters that came with it. But like if you want to do you know, season 4 of Daredevil, you're not going to get like Ronin or something to play with. You know, you're not, if you do like another season of Iron Fist, you're not going to get Shang-Chi or anything like that. Like they're like, what you've got so far is all we're going to let you play with. And I think that might frustrate Netflix's sort of writers and stuff a little. Or I should say the writers that Netflix hired to work on those shows. Razor Fangs 90, hello. Doesn't Netflix have Umbrella Academy and Miller World? They do, but here's the thing. It's not that they're against licensing things. It's that they want to own it, as in be the ones that produce it. For instance, American Vandal, that production company was CBS and Funny or Die. They teamed up to make that show, and Netflix bought it from them, just like any, you know, um, television station can buy from like any producer. Um, I think that like here's an example of like how weird it gets. So there's this terrible sitcom that Tim Allen does called like Last Man Standing, and that was produced by Fox. ABC picked it up and aired it, but then they canceled it, so Fox ended up picking up the next season, but ABC is owned by Disney, who just bought 20th Century Fox, so they get it right back. Stupid. It's weird these days. All right, Tigger's here, and Jack Jones, and who else? Guy Fella. Who wins in a fight between Bullseye or Captain Boomerang? Definitely Bullseye. I think Bullseye's always been the better. Like he can hand-to-hand fight against Daredevil. He might rarely win, but he can like hold his own. Captain Boomerang's never been amazing at hand-to-hand combatant, and he throws his like trick boomerangs, but he doesn't throw anything. Bullseye will like pick up this pen, like separate it and throw like the cap and the pen, and they'll both be like pinpoint accuracy. Or more likely, he'd just like smash a light bulb or something and use the glass and like whip it into like your jugular. So anyway, Bullseye versus Deadshot. That's a little better. That's a little more fair, I think, for a fight. I think I'd still give it to Bullseye, but if they have time to prepare, I'll give it to Deadshot, because Deadshot has been able to go up against Batman, and if he can like plan ahead, he'd probably be better at like setting up a sniper shot and taking out Bullseye. And Bullseye is just a little crazier. Bullseye is just as skilled, but not necessarily as much of a tactician. Deadshot is at least a little bit of a tactician. So anyway, I'm using my logic here as best I can to answer the important questions of the day. Making my way downtown, walking fast, faces past, and I'm homebound. There, now you might have that song stuck in your head if you know it. Even though I didn't really sing it. It was stuck in my head. 90s Hanna-Barbera versus Hanna-Barbera? Or best Hanna-Barbera? I don't quite get it. Alright, so there's a bunch of people chiming in on who would win between various fights, so that's fair. Hey Chris, who would win in a fight between Dilbert and Ziggy? Probably Ziggy, because, no, let's be honest, Ziggy's the eternal loser. Dilbert's sort of a loser, but, like, his creator is so, like, all about, like, being, like, right-wing alpha, like, Dilbert's awesome. Actually, I make that quick joke, and I realize instantly that, like, he's lost that thread. Like, Scott Adams used to make the boss character completely oblivious and sort of the bad guy of Dilbert, But these days, if you watch it, like the boss is like sort of like gotten thinner and like has more hair and has gotten like cooler over the years because of Scott Adams' politics changing. that, that comic has lost its way. Care Bear, I put a song in your head. Hello to No Justice, No Peace. To be honest, I'm Asperger, and it didn't bother me because of that. If that guy wouldn't have been Bullseye, I would actually have liked him. Just give him another name. Are you talking about Bullseye? Um, I mean, the comics Bullseye doesn't really have a well-defined uh, beginning before he became an assassin. This just sort of gave him one, and he ends the show basically being the character that we know. It even gave him like the fused spinal column. Anyway, I thought that they did a really good job with it. Yeah, season 3 really worked for me. I liked it a lot. Oh, there's a small comic convention in my. Actually, there's technically two this weekend, but I think I can only make one. One is like a small press convention called Short Run Press Expo. That's in Seattle. Um, but if that's only Saturday, I'm definitely not going to be able to make it to that one. If it's Saturday and Sunday, I might be able to make it on Sunday. I have to look up that. And then like Tacoma has a tiny comic convention every year called like I think Jet City Comic Con, something like that. So I definitely plan on going to that. Probably just for a little while because it's not huge. There's not a ton to do, but you know, if there's a Comic Con in your own backyard, why wouldn't you go, right? Only reason I can figure is you're too busy. I didn't see like the final 3 seconds right before the credits. It felt kind of off. You probably know what I mean. You didn't like the final 3 seconds. Yeah, I guess I know what you mean, that it's a little different, but I liked it. Were you ever afraid of ghosts? No, I don't think I've ever believed in ghosts, so I've never really been afraid of that. Can't say it. I like ghost stories. I do like the creepy idea of stories, so I can sort of let myself believe in it for like I can I can have suspension of disbelief to like follow along a story and go like, oh yeah, creepy, but that's about it. Um, Emerald City Comic Con. That's not until something like March, but I usually go to that. Um, have I seen Stardust? I haven't. I know what you're talking about. Have not seen it. Is it good? I don't really know. Now that I think of it, trying to move my microphone. Okay, hold on. I need to weigh it down with something. It's being pulled. Okay, I'm all set. The comics Bullseye was schizophrenic. The TV Bullseye hinted he was a negative stereotype of autistic. Well, they never said that. So, like the exact diagnosis is up in the air. I think he would sort of defy diagnosis. Would you have done MTV's Fear back in the 90s? What was Fear? Somebody remind me. You thought that was a ghost moving the microphone, Chrissy? Sounds like Chrissy believes in ghosts. It's a ghost. Just because I don't believe in things like ghosts doesn't mean that I'm right. Does anybody out there have an experience with the paranormal, or at least something they feel that they've never been able to explain? If so, let us know. I mean, we're coming up on Halloween. This is the best time to tell those kind of stories. I'd definitely be curious if you've got an interesting one. Let's take a look and see if anybody has a good story. All right. MTV Fear was when they brought a bunch of people to some abandoned place and made them do a bunch of things in the dead of night. Oh, my friends and I used to play a game like that. We would take a stake, and each person would have to move it further into the woods, and then come back, and then the next person would go, and while one person was going to sort of move the stake deeper into the woods at night, the rest of us would just sort of I don't know, snap twigs or toss rocks in different directions into the woods to create creepy sounds, or make the critters out there move around. So we would sort of do a game like that when we were younger, just to try to scare each other. Wouldn't say it was that effective. Okay, let's see. This is I sketched it. My family say that they have paranormal encounters like that, and weirded out how I don't have any. I think ghosts are just paranoia and pareidolia. As a Jungian mystic, I can teach people to talk to gods and other entities. It's just a form of applied psychology. They're all personality archetypes built into the structure of the brain. See, Insanity joins. Hello. I went to a place that was supposed to be an abandoned asylum where you could supposedly see a ghost in the window. When I got there, it was just a big house, and the thing in the window was a TV cart. Peter says, I had a crazy uncle. You play a game with me involved in the shallow grave and some lime. Interesting. Well, nothing I'll have to call the cops on for any of these games. I wish I did have an interesting sort of ghost story or something, but just don't. TV carts are made by ghosts. Hello to C. Kim. Yes, a TV cart in the window of an abandoned house is absolutely put there by a ghost. So technically, you definitely saw a ghost. Autocorrect ruined your joke? Oh no, I didn't even catch the misspelling. I'm sorry. Uh, Stories about ghosts usually teach us lessons about ourselves. I agree with that. I think that that's true for like all of our sort of mystical boogeymen. I think that they all come from a place of like, teaching us sort of a warning or something that we needed to be aware of at some point. Or they created as like a way to explain something we simply didn't know, and they evolved into like interesting stories. Am I a ghost? Yep. You guys have been watching a fake show this whole time. Bye. Ignore this part. Larry David's probably going to steal that for the name of a comedy special. Okay. I think Richard Corbin's artwork is awesome, and you'll notice no one can copy his style effectively. No, he's very unique. I'll agree with that much. I don't love Richard Corbin's art too much, but it is unique. Let's see. James says someone just reminded me. The Crow. Yeah, that's right. It takes place tonight. They called it what? Something like Devil's Night or something like that in the movie. I used to really like that movie. And it's not that I dislike it now. It's just that I don't know. Just not as excited by it. But yeah, there was a time where I thought that The Crow was just the coolest. I think the sort of terrible sequels and stuff kind of made me lose a little bit of interest. But the original is really quite good. And I would even argue that the movie is a lot better than the comic. Funny how there are only ever ghosts of things in real. Oh, I missed it. I missed it. Speaking of The Crow, has James O'Bard ever done anything else? No, I think he just did The Crow and that was it. I think he did like a sequel to The Crow. That's about it. Here in Detroit, Devil's Night is an annual tradition. It involves lots of fires and massive amounts of stupidity. Yeah, well, and that's what Halloween had really become here in the United States, and why we tried to turn it in many places. We did turn it into more of a family-friendly kids holiday. But that like evolved during the Great Depression when like there were lots of out of work young men, and they would like just kind of go nuts with all the pranks and the beyond pranks, like flat out dangerous vandalism and yeah, like places like Detroit still deal with it. How many folks here have ever watched Korean artist Kim Jong-gi draw? Because that guy is a master, a modern master, so ridiculously talented, so fast, and he doesn't need to plan any of it out. It's crazy. The amount of parts you've darkened in the drawing so far make it look like a shy polar bear with its back to us. Is that true? Is that so? Am I doing a bad job on this drawing, Chrissy? Russell Duffer says, I was home by myself. I heard a rap, rap, rap from the back of the house. I looked and looked, trying to find the rap, rap, rap. Finally, amidst the Christmas stuff, wrapping paper. Are you going to draw any passengers? I'm going to only sort of imply Marty McFly in here because with all this lightning, I'm shading the inside here in quite dark. But I'll sort of draw hands and a little bit of the face in here. So it won't really challenge my likeness skills, but I will imply that there's a driver. Chris, are you going to draw any? If I were to watch a true modern master draw, and he did it as if it was magic, I would have to scream and point, burn the witch, burn the witch. Let's see, James O'Barr did Gothic. Oh, okay, I guess I forgot about that. Javon Miles agrees that Kim Jung-gi is amazing. Yeah, his art books are expensive. I did buy one of them, and I've been lucky enough to have him draw sketches in both. No, I guess I have two sketchbooks because I've gotten two sketches by him. He'll sketch for you if you buy one of his sketchbooks, like from him at a convention. And I've seen him at the New York Comic Con and at a Emerald City Comic Con. It was quite a treat to watch the master work. Just amazing. You could make the argument that he's like maybe the best illustrator alive. You could make that argument. I think it would be up for debate because he doesn't do too much for like comics. He mostly just does individual illustrations, but he will do the occasional like cover or like a live stream event where he will illustrate a massive sort of almost poster or mural is probably a better term of like superhero characters, sci-fi characters. It depends who hires him. And he goes around the country here and there teaching seminars on how to draw. I've never been able to attend one of those. I would like to. I found it funny when Kim Jung-gi and Jim Lee were calling each other master. You're amazing. No, you're amazing. Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was pretty awesome. For the next trope vid, you need to eat Halloween candy for every trope, Chris. Ooh. Yeah, it's got the sort of antenna thing back here. I don't know if I got that exactly right, but I did put it in there. If you had room in the background, which I don't think there is with all the lightning, I would think something go there would be the TARDIS as well as Bill and Ted's phone booth. Oh yeah, just get all the sort of time travel devices from sci-fi. Well, why don't I throw in a Klingon bird of prey from Star Trek 4 while I'm at it? Yeah, could be fun. What other time travel devices have there been in film and television? Obviously, there's H.G. Wells's chair from the Time Machine. What else? What other popular time travel devices are there? Let's see. Chrono Trigger's Epoch. Hot tub. That's true. There's the hot tub time machine. Quantum Leap. Yeah, they had a chamber of some sort, right? But you only really saw that in the pilot episode and like the sort of opening music. Otherwise, he would just sort of leap, and that was that. I'm trying to think of like actual sort of devices or vehicles that would time travel. What else? What else for something physical? Hermione's time turner. Yeah, and the quantum accelerator. A bong. I vaguely remember there being a Power Rangers Time Force. I haven't seen that. Yeah, Javon Miles reiterates Bill and Ted's phone booth, and Russell reiterates Hermione's time tuner. Time Turner, excuse me. Yeah, what else was there though? There've been. What are some good time travel movies? Let's just like think of that. What are some good? The Mobius chair could travel through time. Yeah, it could. You're right. The Mobius chair. I think it could. The Stargate? Really? I didn't know that did time travel. I never watched that show. Hmm. Flash's cosmic treadmill. Looper had that's right. Looper had that sort of box. 12 Monkeys. Well, 12 Monkeys was a decent one. Instant replay from that horrible NFL comic. Yep. The Time Machine is a classic. Looper, yep. The Terminator. Army of Darkness. That's true. That did involve time travel. You're right. Good point. Final Conflict, where the Nimitz went back to the Pearl Harbor attack. Yeah. Yeah, I think I saw that one back in the day. Ryman could time travel? I didn't know that. Austin Powers. Yep. Yeah, you guys are coming up with some really good ones. Time travel is tricky to write because you have to establish rules. And like this is how time travel works. Is it predestined or can you make changes to the past? It's really important to set those rules up and play consistently so that there are stakes involved and we can understand how it works. And you have to as a writer, really plan it through so that we understand what's happening. Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court. I wonder if that was the first time travel story, like at least the first one that's remembered. The duffel bag from Making History. Yeah, that was pretty funny. TMNT3. Yeah. Guardian of Forever on Star Trek. City on the Edge of Forever. Yep. Star Trek 4. I like Star Trek 4 a lot. Kang the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror is a good time travel villain. Has a lot of good stories and some crappy ones, but a lot of good ones. Did you read the Alan Moore time travel short comic that used the same art over and over as the characters returned to the same time point? No, I guess I didn't. Um, hmm. I'll throw in one that hasn't been mentioned. Primer. You have to be very patient with that one, but it's and it is low budget, but it doesn't matter because the story it's trying to tell isn't a big budget affair. It involves two physics, like, I don't know, PhDs or something, and they're buddies, and they're trying to invent something that involves refrigeration. I can't remember right now because it has been a little while since I've watched it. But they end up creating a device that they realize you can do time travel in. But it has a very specific rule. It's like the size of a refrigerator, and what you put in, you can only go back as far as you like stay in it for or something. Like it creates a loop somehow. Boy, it's been a while since I've seen this. So basically, you're only limited to like a day, maybe 2 days or something, okay? And they start like initially just saying, hey, we'll just go back like a day and we'll play the lottery. Really simple. But then they end up sort of getting greedy and wanting to sort of correct past mistakes, and it gets very complex. The Wayback Machine from Mr. Peabody and Sherman. Yeah, that's a good one. Guess James V doesn't like me. Oh well. Ethan Brewer joins us. Do you find it weird how pretty much every movie has a licensed comic? It does seem that way, doesn't it? If you like Primer, try Coherence. Coherence is... Yeah, I think I've seen that. Did that have the dude that played Xander in the Buffy TV show? I'm pretty sure that I've seen Coherence, where it's like one night they just find that like if they walk down the street, they think they're coming back to their own house, but they're really going to that house in a slightly parallel dimension. That one's creepy, actually. That one's pretty disturbing. Orville and Legends of Tomorrow had a time looper as an episode plot device. Oh, okay, yeah. And of course, Legends of Tomorrow is on the Wave Rider, and they go to different time periods every episode. So that's a good one. Future Man. I want to see Future Man. Isn't that on Hulu? I think that that's what it's on. It's on something that I don't have, and I think that that's Hulu. That looked funny. Legends of Tomorrow has run time travel into the ground. That show has jumped the shark. Really? I feel like it's actually improved. Like the first season, I didn't think was very strong at all. And then like season 2 and 3, I thought were really, really fun. But haven't watched any of this season. I don't have TV anymore. I canceled cable, so I don't know how it is now. But I would be curious because I really like Constantine, so that seems like it would be a cool addition to the show. I don't know. Legion of Superheroes. They got their time travel bubbles. Time Crimes. Time Crimes is a really cool one. The guy with the sort of bloody face mask that he throws on. Yeah. Where he tries to keep, I think, saving his wife from dying. And it just sort of starts getting a little complex and convoluted. JCVD. Oh yeah, Time Cop. Time Cop. That's right. Time Cop is actually pretty good. I would say it's yeah, for like, Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, that one's one of his better ones. Space Cop. Space Cop. Space Cop's kind of fun. I wish it was a little better, but I do like Space Cop. I mean, Le Jeté, which ended up being the basis for 12 Monkeys. Maniac Cop is the best cop movie. RoboCop is the best cop movie, if I'm being serious. Butterfly Effect is good if you watch the director's cut. Yeah, it's not bad. I feel like it's a little depressing. Like, it's a very bleak movie, intentionally so, so I'm definitely, like, cutting it slack. Like, they accomplished what they set out to accomplish. But I did find it, like just depressingly bleak. Turner and Hooch is the best cop movie? Nah. Voyagers, the TV show. Time After Time was made into a show. It was on ABC. Didn't see that one. There was a time travel device in Galaxy Quest. I totally forgot about that. Huh. The Time Gem. Yeah, Space Cop is the Red Letter Media guys. Um, some funny stuff, but also a little not completely awesome in some parts. But I still like those guys. I like their movie Feeding Frenzy a little bit more. There are parts of Space Cop that I really enjoy. I just feel like as an entire movie, sometimes I feel like it drags. They had a really funny best of the worst Halloween edition just earlier this week, though. That was fun. Very entertaining channel. Very creative guys. Tango and Cash was the best cop movie. Next Generation's All Good Things. That's a good time travel episode. I don't know if anyone said it, but Donnie Darko had time travel. Donnie Darko did have time travel. I like Donnie Darko. Wolf Cop, yeah. Actually, guys, we're all traveling in time right now, 1 second at a time. That's true. We're all time traveling at a completely normal rate forward into the future. I've seen Hobo with a Shotgun. It's not too bad. Quite extreme in its violence, but that's okay. Christmas Carol. That does have time travel, doesn't it? Police Academy is the best cop movie. Time Bandits. Time Bandits is a good time travel movie. Vehicles and mechs are the hardest things for me to draw. Do they give you any trouble? It depends, Alpha. You know, if it's a certain one, I'll just use reference. I'll just like for this, I just found a model, found the angle that I wanted. Maybe that's cheating, but I wanted to focus more on the inking than anything else. Um, wow, see Kim, generous super chat. Thanks for this month, mate. I'm worried about what I'm gonna do every night now. The groupies need a meetup for withdrawals, like Discord. Yeah, maybe. Well, I'm not gonna completely go away. I am going to, keep doing these, but it's just more of like a when I have free time type thing as compared to an always thing. But I would say that my goal is at least once a month. Hopefully, I can do more than that, but that's my goal. At a minimum. And I think that that's basically what I've been able to keep to for the last year. It's not the same, but I also do think that people would probably get burned out, just watching me draw and having the same sort of group to talk to. I don't know. Maybe it would depend on what I'm able to talk about. If I had a super convenient setup where I could almost have a moderator physically here that could read me what's being said so that I could discuss stuff without having to look up. Maybe that would work someday down the road. Something I'll certainly give some thought to. Off the top of my head, I don't know. Start a Discord. Hmm. Maybe I should. I don't really know much about starting one, but let me, I'll look it up this week, okay? I'll look up how to start a Discord and see what I can learn. There's a YouTuber who makes a living by having people pay to have a text-to-speech read their embarrassing messages aloud while he live streams in public. I guess that'd be funny sometimes, but you'd really be depending on like the people submitting good, clever stuff. So if it isn't like that clever, you're sort of just dealing with the same gag every time, which is just somebody shouting something ridiculous in public. But I haven't seen it. Maybe it's a lot better than I'm making it sound. This is why we can't have nice things. Hello, Atomicus. Adamant was all time travel. Okay, Mr. Lord something says, what do you consider... Oh, darn it. Let me see if I can find that one. It was recent. I know I'm never trying to ignore any of y'all. I just can't keep up. Mr. Lord Kefka says, what do you consider the most important when creating a horror comic? I want to do one day and would love the feedback. I would say the most important thing is creating likable characters that you understand, putting them in a situation that we all recognize that should probably be safe, and then upturning that and like having everything go wrong. And you know, the fear is what could happen, and we can ideally place ourselves in that same situation because we care about the characters and we understand the setting or the situation. Kills and gore or scares, those are all pretty easy to, I think. More time travel. Cube 2 Hypercube. Stephen King turning normal things like clowns into terrifying things. Yeah, I suppose. Or just the fact that it's just like, you know, kids that basically like sort of should be safe in like their normal town, and like nobody else seems to understand that there's a very serious danger. No one's like looking at the history, everyone's ignoring it. The danger is can't make situations like that too frustrating. If it's too implausible or frustrating, then people are just going to check out. Like if they're like, "Oh, come on," like police would listen in this kind of a situation. They wouldn't ignore them here. If your audience is saying that, then you've sort of failed. You haven't distracted them properly. Or you've committed too egregiously dumb a move by a character. That's why I like these are bad movies, but I like the Friday the 13th movies, but they can of course be quite frustrating when you're like, "Well, come on, the cops wouldn't ignore everybody in this situation, or the cops wouldn't be that big jerks." Uh, Not enough to lose me, but there have been moments where it comes close. And there've definitely been much worse movies where I'm just like, "I'm out. This is just not fair." Days of Future Past has time travel. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Prince of Persia. That's right. Prince of Persia allowed you to rotate certain things back. Supernatural has done time travel. Yep. Supernatural can be a fun show. Yeah, Terminator was mentioned early on. Is time travels. Yep. If people in horror movies weren't idiots, there wouldn't be a plot. I don't know that I agree with that. I don't know that everybody always acts dumb. Like we look at some of these things with hindsight, but I think that a movie like Jaws, I don't think anybody there is really being dumb. The people that are going into the water have been told by the authorities that it's safe. There are a couple authorities, like the mayor, who just doesn't understand the scope of the danger, and he's willingly being ignorant, but he isn't dumb, you know. Um, the Shining doesn't really feature people being dumb to want to go to, like a remote place. It seems like, that everything should be okay. There shouldn't really be alcohol to potentially tempt Jack Torrance, but there are spirits there that make them go crazy. Yeah, Cabin in the Woods definitely plays on those tropes and says, "Hey, look, we're going to explain literally every dumb thing that happens to people, every unlikely thing, but it's still going to happen." Anyway, so I don't think every movie has people acting like idiots, or at least not out of character idiots. You sometimes movies are about teenagers that just don't have the life experience to understand the danger they're in. Sometimes they do. There's usually one or two people that understand. I'm just saying, and sometimes people do act like idiots, but sometimes that's real because people of varying intelligence levels exist, and it's important for any sort of story to reflect that not everybody comes across as the same person. But even when people make bad decisions, if you've written it well, that can come from a believable point of view. People have blind spots, people are ignorant about certain things. So sometimes it's not frustrating when you see somebody do something dumb that you're like, "Yeah, well, that character would never not know any better." Um, Sorry, I'm a little tired, so I'm usually I'd like to back that up with examples. I have to admit I'm a little tired and I'm not really thinking as fast as I do when I'm a little more awake and alert. Hopefully what I'm saying at least makes, an emotional sense. I think that that's honestly one of the greatest challenges in writing any story, is making sure that your characters seem to have different levels of intelligence and life experience, and that can be like a very hard thing to write because you, the writer, only have a certain amount of life experience and intelligence to draw on. So that's where you have to sort of like do research and listen to how other people talk and try to come up with plausible reasons for all of this. But I think that's one of the toughest challenges for any writer. Nobody is ever smart enough to run away. Sometimes when people move into haunted houses, they usually stay. Yeah. What was it? The movie The Conjuring, the family moves out right away as soon as something weird happens. And then they're like told like, hey, this is actually, like a spirit that will follow you. So we have to like solve things back at the house. Or like they also are like, look, we literally cannot afford to go anywhere else. We don't have other family. We don't have, things like that. Have I ever read the 1996 Doom comic? Was that by Image? It sounds familiar, but I'm not sure that I actually read it. It was given away at conventions. It's pretty 90s. They released it free online. Oh, well, are you talking about Doom the video game? If that's the case, then I think I have read that. It's got like the main character like take a berserker pill and go like, "You are huge. That means you've got huge guts," and says other crazy things like that. And it does not have the most exciting artwork. If that's what you're talking about, I have read that, but it's been a long time. I may have owned it at one point, but I don't know why. I know what I was thinking of right before. I was thinking of Dooms 4, which was, I think, something that Image did, but anyway. Click, click, boom, boom. There. How would you do a Friday the 13th sequel reboot? Bring back Tommy Jarvis? Well, I do think you would have to reboot it at this point. I think it's been too long since any of the episodes, and I would just sort of, I wouldn't really give it like his origin per se. I would just say that like he's out there. I would have like some people like talk about it like it's almost some sort of like local urban legend, and no, he's real. I would for now like the urban legend would involve Pamela Voorhees and stuff, but I don't think you need to sit through that. I think that would be kind of boring. People want to get to Jason. And I don't know that I'd necessarily have Tommy Jarvis in the first sort of reboot movie, but I'd definitely set it up like that he could be sort of a character in the next one. But you might like have him in the first one, because I think he's the only thing that could like really be a recurring protagonist. And you could like change Tommy Jarvis to be like, I don't know, Tina Jarvis or something if you feel like you want it to be the final girl. It really depends on like what your approach is, what your idea is with like, is it worth having it be a guy for some reason. Generally horror works a little better with like, a girl, but not always.